used y'all up already. Yeah, but your bros up in DC will be happy to snatch up your land when you have to foreclose, just like they're snatching up innocent people off the streets, all because of y'all's bullshit that you support. What I would suggest to you is you fuck around and find out farmers keep trying to band together. You know, the way the folks band together back in the day to help raise barns.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from now. Nebraska and Texas farmers are now crying out to the black community for help. Now, they want the black community to go into their farms and help them pick blueberries, tomatoes, and help them pick grapes. Now, they are complaining that the Democrats are so quiet and that they are not talking. They are not helping them fight the one in the White House. Now, is this the right time for them to call out the black community and the Democrats for not supporting them? Now, let's watch this video and have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
A lot of people effed around and now they're finding out. And no group of people is going to find out more quickly than farmers because they're really going to get screwed. With the cutting of this USAID program, they're really going to get hit hard because what was that program, or is that program, that is not being operated as it's supposed to be because of Donald Trump giving complete control of the federal government to the billionaire who bought him, Elon Musk. Anyways, what was the purpose of that? The purpose was to provide humanitarian relief around the world. And a big part of that was providing food to desperate people around the world. And what we did through that program is purchase a lot of agricultural products produced by American farmers and then distribute those products around the world. Now that money is being withheld illegally, but it's being withheld.
I'm a supporter of President Donald Trump. Voted for him in this election and the last, and the one prior to that. However, President Trump is about to allow JBS, the world's most corrupt beef organization, to become publicly traded in America. President Donald Trump will be the president that allows for the complete destruction of the small, independent family farms and cattle ranches if he allows this to go through. The SEC has already approved it. Now we're just waiting a mere few days for them to allow it on the stock exchange. And what's concerning is we haven't heard a word from the Secretary of Agriculture about this. We haven't heard any of the large
millionaires, billionaires,
cattle organizations that represent cattlemen speak out about this.
Yeah, you're not going
They claim to represent cattlemen. The truth is they only represent the big guys. They're bought and paid for by the same organizations, JBS, Cargill, Tyson, National Beef, all the collusion that's happening.
Collusion.
Go do a very simple search and you'll see the millions and millions and tens upon millions of dollars that these companies have been ordered to pay for collusion
we knew
and price
about it.
fixing.
And you knew
which
about
has
it.
cost us our family farms and ranches.
You're gonna lose the
and
farm.
what that costs us as the people who aren't family farms and ranches is a stable food system.
Yeah.
As much as I'm a supporter of many of the other things that Trump is doing, anything else in the world that we're working to accomplish and achieve doesn't matter when you have famine and you starve to death.
Wow.
So, Mr.
Now you're
President,
worried about famine and
I love
food
you, appreciate you.
insecurities.
It is our job as citizens
And
to
you're
hold you
still
accountable.
supporting the asshole.
And whoever you've got in your circle, they ain't speaking truth because
They ain't
you're about to
speaking
put us
truth.
in a whole world of hurt.
They're not listening to you, buddy.
Folks, I need you to share this. This is
I'm gonna
urgent.
share it. Oh yeah, I'm
We've only got a
sharing.
mere few days, and we need millions of people to put pressure to stop this, or
Stop from taking my
it's gonna
farm.
it'll be a much harder fight to come back from.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Shake the hand to feed you.
Yeah. Oh, you silly Farmer Joe MAGA cult swallower. Now you're worried about your business, you're worried about your farm, and you're worried about food insecurities in America. Oh, you didn't think you farmers would be touched by your fallen angel up in DC. And you're still calling out your Lord and Sataner. Hey, dude, he's not listening. He doesn't give a flying shit about you and your buddies. He's you. You keep working hard now to try to make your country a better place all of a sudden. Yeah, most of us Americans will not forgive and forget you shitty individuals and the racism and bigotry you voted for. And you're still supporting time and time again. But hey, enjoy that Chapter 7, 11, or 12 bankruptcy you voted for. They say it's a real bitch. Yeah, and now I'm going to go watch the cult classic Children of the Corn and think of you, Malachi. Yeah, if you know, you know.
Next up on the FAFO tour, Texas farmers. One day, these farms in Texas had hundreds of workers tending the fields and the livestock, and the very next day, all of those workers are gone. That's what has happened in Texas. And entire fields of crops are being left to rot because there's no one to pick them. Livestock, like dairy cows, that have to be milked twice a day when they're lactating, there's no one to tend to them. These farms are going to go under. And it's not going to just affect Texas farmers. This is going to affect the breadbasket of the nation very soon. Most of these farmers voted for the felon in chief. And now they are reaping what they have sown, quite literally. Is America great yet? And all of these red-faced conservative MAGA folk who have complained for years about these illegal immigrants are taking our jobs. It's funny, they're not lining up to go work out in these fields for that low pay out in the hot sun. And what's unspoken is many of these farmers and many of these racists thought that we black Americans were going to rush out there because they have come to believe their own racist stereotypes and lies about black people. And they did. They thought we were going to line up to go work in those fields. Ha ha, tricks are for kids. Our ancestors already been there and done that, and they were not paid at all. They were forced to work in fields, whipped and tortured. This is a new day. And so I suggest everyone who has ever complained about illegal immigrants taking our jobs, you get you some 100 SPF sunscreen and get your ass out there in the fields if you want produce, period, in your grocery stores. And think about this. This is going to have a ripple effect. Think about all the businesses that are vendors and customers of these farms. There's no one to buy fertilizer, farm implements, pesticides. Many restaurants that are farm to table, where they're going to get their meat and their produce. Racism is expensive, and it is going to be the ruin of this nation. It's already playing out. So again, I ask, MAGA, are we great again yet? And when are y'all gonna go out to Texas and all these other areas that need work and start working the fields, since you're a patriotic American? I'm waiting to see when that's going to happen, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
I just saw this video of this white man who's not MAGA, by the way, or at least he says he's not, but because he damn sure selling the look. But he says he has a fake account over on Twitter, and he joined this group of white farmers, and he's pretending to be MAGA just to see what they're talking about. So apparently they had this group chat or group call where the white MAGA farmers were upset and saying the only reason why they voted for shitty britches was because they thought the blacks didn't have jobs and the blacks would come back and work their fields. They thought they were going to get slavery back by voting for shitty britches. But they have been saying loud and proud with their chest that immigrants were taking their jobs. Yet, there are a couple of farms here in Texas that overnight lost 100% of their workforce. But immigrants was taking their jobs, right?
There are no words that are sufficient to express how much I love watching these farmers right here reap what they have sown. May their fields lay barren and their familial land, their ancestral land, may it be bought for pennies on the dollar, because they got what they voted for. On the flip side, I just want to send some love and encouragement to the immigrants that are fearful and worried about what tomorrow looks like, because I get it. We're living in a shit show, y'all. Please do your best to take care of you, to stay safe and surrounded by your loved ones. This is yet another shameful chapter of United States history, but this time around, the world is watching and judging us. This cannot be erased. This cannot be whitewashed. I'm sorry that they've used your communities to stoke so much rage and hatred and anger and violence. You deserve so much better.
So for those of y'all who've been keeping up with recent events as it relates to the farmers, right? We talked about Nebraska, and then we talked about Iowa, and all of these farmers, are losing their minds because they're losing their farms, and, they're scared. Well, let me tell y'all what I heard today. So the lobbyist groups for the farmers are proposing another bailout of $16 billion. The last time Syphilitic Sid did this in his first administration, they received a whopping $24 billion in bailouts. Well, this time around, Syphilitic Sid said he doesn't know if he can do that. He's not sure that that's something that they can accommodate. Look, I love the farmers. The farmers are wonderful. They farm, right? They farm. But, we're trying to cut fraud and waste and a lot of unnecessary spending. So now these people and their lobbyists are trying to get bailouts. But what I want to understand is, what happened to you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps? What happened to we voted for him because he's a great businessman? What happened to we're going to put our trust in him because he's going to help us? Help y'all do what exactly? Lose your farms? Yes, that part. Because you know who invests in these companies that buy up bankrupted farms? Your vice president. So, to all you farmers that voted for this, thinking it was going to be like the last time and he was going to give y'all a bailout and y'all would get those subsidies to support yourselves and your farms and your families, it's not coming. Not this time around. It's not coming. You can just forget it. So, I wish you well. I hope it works out for you. Maybe, somebody can whisper in his ear and change his mind. You might want to reach out to Ivanka because she's his favorite and he listens to her, I guess. But they're not really speaking, ever since the insurrection. But I don't know. This is just word on the street. It's just gossip, but you didn't hear it from me. But, good luck.
On the website Daily Kos, dailykos.com. Another week, another batch of MAGA faithful finding out the hard way. Leopards eating faces. They're eating a lot of faces. This week's episode focuses on truckers and soybean farmers. Truckers love Donald Trump. About 75% of truckers in the United States identify as Republicans and voted for Donald Trump. It's easy to imagine why. The group is mostly rural, white, and male, and tied to a job that lives and dies on the cost of fossil fuels, diesel, which can account for up to 40% of their costs. And they hate environmental mandates to electrify their fleets, electric trucks. In 2014, truck driver was the most common job title in most American states and a significant one in pretty much all of them. Truck driving is one of the largest professions that provides a path to financial security without a college degree. So, Craig Fuller, a trucking guy on Twitter, many truckers I've spoken with don't realize how quickly container volumes have collapsed, meaning containers coming from China because of Trump's tariffs. Starting in May, port freight out of the state of California will almost be eliminated. It's going to be a bloodbath. And then a complete collapse of I-20 and I-40 trucking. Those are freeways going across the states. I don't know what this term blank sailings means, but in May 2020, there were 51 shipments of blank sailings, over 80 of them so far in April. So blank sailings are bad, and they're up about 70% over May of 2020. COVID will look like good times. Let's see. This is crazy. Mack Truck is laying off 20% of its workforce, manufacturing trucks. Hang on. An industry expert said the 100,000 full-time, hard-working truckers hauling 85% of the surface trade in goods with Mexico and 67% of the goods traded with Canada will bear a direct and disproportionate impact from Trump's tariffs. It's gonna absolutely crater trucking. Now let's check on the soybean industry. During his first administration, he put tariffs on China. China bought all their stuff from Brazil. The economic damage was so severe that Trump had to bail out farmers to the tune of $28 billion. That's the definition of socialism for Republican farmers. A similar number of farmers voted for Donald Trump, 75 or 80%. So after his first term, what did those farmers do? What did they do? They voted for Trump again. Of course. Trump has now killed what was left of the Chinese market, dramatically increased the cost of fertilizer, thanks to his trade war with China, and turned the world against American goods. As these soy farmers are relegated to pegging columns like this one, I'm a soybean farmer who voted for Trump. I'm begging the president to end the trade war. Like many of my fellow farmers, I voted for President Donald Trump in the past 3 elections. The president won me over with his commitment to business-friendly tax cuts, as well as his track record of reducing regulation and cutting government spending. I am one of the 500,000 soybean farmers in America who feels the pain. I rely on my farm for 100% of the income for my family, except for all those government subsidies, the socialism, and the families of our 3 full-time workers. We have 1,500 acres of soybean on my farm. It's $600 per acre. Our production costs are $900,000. But in the current climate, an acre only brings in $500 of revenue, which means we are yielding $750,000, a $150,000 loss because you voted for Donald Trump, because of Trump's tariffs on China, because China has just been like, we're gonna get our stuff from Brazil again. They're getting their soybeans from Brazil. They're getting their beef from Australia. So it's not just soybean farmers. Guess who didn't have to give farmers $28 billion in bailouts? Joe Biden. You voted for this 3 times, truckers and soybean farmers. You voted for this 3 times. F around and find out. MAGA edition farmers. Apparently, in the negotiated bipartisan government funding bill that Trump and Elon Musk just killed, that bill was going to include $10 billion to farmers in subsidies. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump took that away. They want a clean CR now, a clean continuing resolution that also obliterates the debt ceiling. So I clipped a video last week of CNN interviewing a dairy farmer in a red state who voted for Trump, whose business only functions with immigrant labor. And the reporter asked him what happens if Donald Trump deports all of these people. He was like, I'll go out of business almost immediately, and the nation will run out of food in 2 days. But he doesn't think Trump's going to do that. He voted for Trump. He doesn't think he's really going to do that, despite everything that Donald Trump has said, despite all the appointments that Donald Trump has made. And now Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump have just killed the bipartisan part of the government funding agreement, a $10 billion subsidies to American farmers who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. Rural states voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. We try to tell you guys, man.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, we've seen a lot of Nebraska farmers, Texas farmers coming out and crying to the black community and to the Democrats that they are actually apologizing and at the same time agonizing that they are going through a lot after voting in Donald Trump. Now, this is a disclaimer. This is a very sensitive and complex topic. It involves politics, race, economics, and for this reason, we must not stereotype anything that is discussed here. Thank you so much. Now, the black community has been perceived to be Democrats for the longest time, and most of the MAGA supporters are now crying out to the black farmers and to the black nurses to come out and help them pick blueberries, and because they're tomatoes, blueberries are now rotting in the farms and there is no one to help them pick it. Now they are calling out the black community and the Democrats to come out and help them do that. Now, this is very sad because they voted Donald Trump, or the orange man, knowing that they were knowing so well that he's coming with many of his policies were going to tie the immigrants down, and he had promised to do the biggest deportation, the largest deportation in the history of the United States, and is currently doing that by the help of the ICE. Now, what does this mean to the black community at the moment? Now, the black community has always been perceived as Democrats because of the race thing, and I do not know whether this is true because I got some friends who are Republicans also and who are black. Now, many in the black community vote Democrats, and they voted Kamala Harris, which some MAGA supporters view as opposing their values, and for this one reason, I do not know why they are very bitter and agonizing at the moment, because if at all is Donald Trump who is doing these things, then they should be so mad at Donald Trump at the moment, because if the black community will have helped them vote Donald Trump in, then it could be a disaster also. Now, that could have not changed anything to this moment, Now, narratives around systematic racism are also pushing for this at the moment, and most of the MAGA supporters are feeling betrayed by the black community, that the black community is not coming out to help them fight their own government that they elected, that the black community are not showing up at work to help them pick blueberries, pick tomatoes, pick so many other things from their farms. But the question still remains, most of the people who are working in these farms were Latinos, and those who have been kicked out of the country by Donald Trump's administration. Now, all the MAGA supporters or all the MAGA voters knew that it was going to affect them, but they were very, very clear that they were going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, see whatever is happening at the moment. This is a big paradox, because someone is coming to destroy whatever you have, but you still allow them to do that. You still welcome them to do that. Now, that's the paradox I'm talking about. That's the thing they did to themselves, and that's whatever is harming them at the moment, because they are now crying out. Now, they want the farmers to come and help them. No, the black nurses to come to leave their nursing job to come and help them pick blueberries. Is this even making sense to you? Is this even logical? Sometimes we really need to be very, very authentic, and we also need to be very realistic with whatever we say, because you can't go on gaslighting the people who didn't vote for your own candidate, and at the same time crying out the same candidate is actually making your life so hard, is making your farms to collapse, making your jobs to collapse also. Now, your workshops are now closed because you don't have workers. Your workshops are now closed because of tariffs. Now, how is that a problem with the black community? How is that being caused by the black or the Democrats? We need to be very, very realistic, and we need to be very true to ourselves. Let's not continue lying to ourselves that you voted Donald Trump. People didn't help you to do that. Things are happening now. You need to realize that not everything should always work as you want or your way. Not everything will go your way. So there is time that you need to actually accept other people's ways, and this is a mistake you brought to yourself, and this is a mistake that you should be crying to yourself and regretting whatever you did and apologizing to these people, not trying to gaslight them to come and work in your farms. Now, most of the MAGA supporters are actually very frustrated with the Donald Trump administration. Now, this is because of the labor shortage they're having in their farms, and most of the Latino immigrants are the ones who are working in these farms. Now, these were the undocumented Latinos who are helping out provide cheap labor to the MAGA supporters, in Texas, the MAGA farmers who supported Donald Trump. Now, a large portion of them have been deported after ICE crackdowns and deportations under Donald Trump's administration or watch. Now, many farms lost skilled laborers, leading to crops rotting in fields, financial losses, and difficulty replacing workers, because these are the people who are working for them. It's very hard to replace skilled workers, very hard to replace and get the same group of people, and it is for this we have seen most of them crying out on the internet. They are now trying to gaslight the black community to come and work for them. Now, the ICE crackdowns have been so brutal that many Latinos have been sent back to their countries, and others have been sent to Venezuela, others to El Salvador, and many others to other countries around the world. And this is not ending up well or sitting well with the white Texas MAGA farmers, who are now actually calling out each other and trying to gaslight the people to come and help them pick their blueberries. Very, very sad. Now, there is a contradiction of interest in this case. And for this, we've seen farmers may have supported Trump for tax breaks, deregulation, or cultural reasons, but then realize his immigration policies have harmed their bottom line. Now, when you have a farm, you actually need workers, you need laborers. The moment they deport people, they deport the undocumented Latinos who offered cheap labor. This now risks the whole thing. The farms are now having a shortage of workers. Crops are rotting. They are going bad, and there is no one who can help pick the blueberries, tomatoes, grapes. And it is for these reasons that we are seeing most of the Texas white MAGA supporters crying out. They are very furious and enraged at the same moment. Now, Trump did hurt his own base. You must remember that. Now, because Texas farmers really voted for Trump, they were the MAGAs at the moment. And later on, they realized that they did hurt themselves by voting Donald Trump, because the Donald Trump policies were not favoring them at all. When they deport people, that affects everything, the output, the input, everything is being affected. And it is for this reason that they are now supporting the black community. They are now regretting their vote for Donald Trump. There is a lot of frustration towards the Democratic Party, Though Democratic Party often advocate for immigrant rights, we all know that farmers may still direct anger at them for reasons like lack of practical immigration reforms. You know, that why are they not pushing for this at the moment? Now, farmers may blame both parties, but especially Democrats, for failing to pass realistic immigration legislations that will realize a frameworkers or create a guest power program. Now, these are the things that I'm talking about, gaslighting the people. Now, if you're voting Donald Trump, you knew very well that all these things didn't exist. And as a matter of fact, Democrats have been so lenient on immigrants who are called aliens by the orange man. Now, we must really be realistic, and I continue saying this. There is a perceived focus on urban issues. Rural MAGA farmers may actually feel ignored by Democrats who they believe prioritize urban voters, racial justice issues, or social welfare over rural labor and agriculture needs. You know, all these things are not making sense to me. You should just have voted well and that's done. Why didn't they stop this? You know, they're trying to now complain and trying to bring it back to the Democrats. Why didn't the Democrats stop this immigration, illegal immigration as they call it at the moment? There is a lot of resentment toward the black community in a political context because they feel they have been betrayed by the black community, because widely the black community is considered Democrats. They actually, most of them vote in that line of politics, and there is a lot of more ideological and symbolic than directly tied farm labor. Yes. Now, cultural scapegoating. In times of stress, some groups look for cultural or political, others to blame. Yes. Now, some MAGA farmers may wrongly associate racial justice activism, e.g., BLM, with democratic priorities that ignored us. Very, very sad, you know. Now, let's just summarize. Let's just summarize this. Now, I know, as a matter of fact, white MAGA aligned farmers in Texas may feel so furious as they are at the moment and conflicted at the same time after losing their Latino farm workers due to deportation by the ICE, you know, and this is being engineered by the Trump administration. Now, Trump policies are hurting MAGA supporters economically so bad, despite their support for him. You wonder, Democrats can't fix immigration policies at the moment because there are executive orders on the scene, you know, and the president has immune to all these things, and the only time that Donald Trump can be questioned is when he leaves power, or maybe when he gets kicked out of office constitutionally. Now, there is a lot that can be said, but as much as I know, we should stop voting emotionally and start voting logically and start voting with a lot of wisdom. Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. If it's your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing, sharing, and liking the video. Thank you. See you in our next episode.